The story begins with two friends, Sarah and Linda, going through a box of Sarah's late mother's belongings. They discover an old Polaroid camera and a picture of Sarah's mom that seems to have been taken with it. Intrigued, Sarah decides to use the camera to take a picture of herself in lingerie as a surprise for her boyfriend. When the flash goes off, Sarah feels a strange unease. As the photo begins to develop, Linda gets a call and leaves, leaving Sarah alone in the house. While closing the front door, Sarah hears noises upstairs, like someone using the camera. She cautiously heads to the room and finds the photo has developed. To her shock, it shows a shadowy figure in the background. Things take a sinister turn when the lights start flickering and more strange noises come from another room. Terrified, Sarah moves through the hallway and sees a ball roll down from the attic. Despite her fear, she climbs up to investigate. Suddenly, the ladder collapses, trapping her in the attic. While scanning the dark space, an inhuman hand grabs her, startling her. Sarah is lifted into the air and violently killed before her lifeless body is thrown to the ground. In the following scene, we meet Bird Fitcher, a shy high school student preparing for picture day. Bird always wears a scarf to cover a scar on her neck, which has made her the target of teasing from her classmates, who call her Scarf Girl. After school, Bird Fitcher sees her crush, Connor, hanging out with his friends. Nervously, she grabs her camera to snap a picture of him, but he catches her in the act. Embarrassed, she quickly gathers her things and hurries off to her job at an antique shop. At work, Bird's co-worker, Tyler, surprises her with a vintage Polaroid camera he picked up at a garage sale. The camera has RJS engraved on it, and Bird is excited to test it out. She takes Tyler's picture as they wait for it to develop. Tyler tries to kiss her, but Bird feels awkward and walks away, leaving the camera case behind. When she gets home, Bird tries taking pictures of her dog with the new camera, but the dog growls and backs away uneasily. Before she can snap a photo, her best friend, Casey, shows up and invites her to a costume party. Casey encourages Bird to go, mentioning it's a chance to see Connor. Though hesitant at first, Bird agrees. Casey and Bird are soon picked up by their friends Mina and Devin, a lively couple with a playful love-hate dynamic. While riding in the car, Bird pulls out Tyler's photo and notices a dark shadow in the background. Thinking it's just a smudge, she tries to wipe it off, but it doesn't go away. Meanwhile, Tyler is closing up the shop. He comes across a box of old photos and sets them on a projector, scrolling through them curiously. At the antique shop, Tyler notices something strange while scrolling through old photos on the projector. A shadowy figure seems to move from one photo to another. Alarmed, he suspects someone is hiding behind the curtain. Grabbing a hammer, he swings at the shadow but hits nothing. As he turns back to the projector, the curtain transforms into a terrifying figure that charges at him, seemingly killing him. Meanwhile, Bird and her friends arrive at a costume party hosted by Avery. Feeling out of place, Bird stands alone in a corner. She notices someone in a skeleton mask staring at her. Nervous, she tries to avoid him, but he steps in front of her and removes the mask. It's Connor. Relieved, Bird starts chatting with him, glad it's someone she likes. Their conversation is cut short when Mina and Devin invite Connor for a group selfie. Bird offers to take the photo using her Polaroid camera. Just as she clicks, Casey photobombs the picture. When the photo develops, Bird notices the same dark shadow behind Connor. Avery grabs Bird's camera to take a selfie, but before the photo can develop, the police arrive at the party looking for Bird. She is taken to the station, where Sheriff Pembroke informs her of Tyler's tragic death. He urges her to contact him if she has any leads. During their conversation, the sheriff mentions her last name and recalls the childhood accident that left her with neck scars. Later that night, Bird examines the pictures from her Polaroid camera. To her shock, the shadow from Tyler's photo has vanished and now appears in Avery's picture. After the party, Avery is cleaning her house when she hears footsteps upstairs. Nervous, she goes to investigate and comes face to face with a terrifying figure lurking in the dark. Panicked, she tries to escape but accidentally hits her head on a lamp and falls. Despite her injuries, she desperately crawls toward the door, but the ghostly entity catches her and snaps her neck. The next morning, Bird gets a call from Casey, who tells her about Avery's death. Shaken, Bird checks the photos and discovers that the shadow has moved from Avery's photo to the group picture. Desperate, she tries to destroy the camera, but it releases a shockwave that knocks her to the ground. Later at school, Bird sits with Mina, Devin, Casey, and Connor as they process the recent tragedies. She shares her theory that Avery's death wasn't an accident, explaining how the shadow moves from one photo to the next and kills whoever is in it. Bird warns them that the Polaroid camera is cursed, but her friends don't believe her. Devin even burns the group photo, dismissing her fears. To everyone's horror, burning the photo causes Mina's hand to burn in real life, and Casey feels pain in her fingers. Before anyone is seriously hurt, Bird quickly stomps out the flames. Miraculously, the photo restores itself, leaving the group in shock. Mina is rushed to the hospital for surgery on her arm. While waiting outside, the friends discuss the camera's origin. Bird remembers that its case is still at the antique shop. She and Connor head there to retrieve it. Once they arrive, Bird insists on going in alone, reasoning that she's safe since she wasn't in the photo. While Connor waits in the car, he examines the group photo and suddenly hears the camera winding up. Inside the antique shop, Bird retrieves the camera case, but the ghostly entity appears. Terrified, she runs for the exit, but her scarf gets caught on a nail, choking her. It seems like her end is near until Connor arrives just in time to free her. On their way back, Bird wonders why the entity attacked her. Connor reveals that her reflection is faintly visible in the background of the group photo, meaning she's also a target. This revelation leaves Bird shaken, questioning the rules of the curse. At the hospital, Mina wakes up from surgery to find Devin sitting beside her. After a brief conversation, Devin steps out to get a nurse. While alone, Mina gets a call from Bird, warning her not to stay by herself. Panicked, Mina tries to leave her bed, but the entity attacks her. When Devin returns, he finds the room empty and spots a blood trail on the floor. Following it, he discovers Mina's lifeless body hanging behind a curtain. When Bird and Connor arrive at the hospital, they see Devin talking to the police. Once the cops leave, Devin angrily confronts Bird, blaming her for everything. His harsh words overwhelm Bird, and she runs away crying. Connor follows her, and the two sit down in a quiet hallway. As they talk, Bird opens up about her father, a reporter. She shares how one night, he offered to show her a project, but she insisted on going to a sleepover instead. On their way back home, her father got into a fatal car accident. Connor comforts her, assuring her it wasn't her fault. Together, they examine the camera case and find a hidden locker tag inside. Curious about the camera's origins, Bird and Connor visit the library to research the date engraved on the case. After combing through old articles, they discover that the camera once belonged to Roland Joseph Sable, a photography teacher at their school. He was accused of torturing 4 students and killing 3 of them while taking disturbing photographs. The truth came out after one of the victims escaped, leading to Roland being shot by the police. Later that evening, the friends meet at a restaurant to discuss their next steps. Bird shares an observation. When the entity attacked her, it reacted to heat nearby. She explains that heat and light can disrupt developing photos and speculates that the entity may behave like a developing photograph. It can only exist in the dark. Bird also shows the group a picture of Roland's old house. She suggests that someone connected to him might still live there and have answers. Casey looks online and finds that the house is now owned by Faraday. As they talk, tensions rise. Devin, frustrated over Mina's death, decides to test the camera by taking Bird's photo. Connor opposes the idea, and the two struggle for the camera. During the scuffle, a photo is accidentally taken. The group watches in fear as the photo develops, revealing Devin as the subject. The shadow transfers to him, marking him as the next target. Panicked, Devin tries to use the camera on one of his friends, hoping to pass the curse. In desperation, Casey stabs Devin's photo with a pencil. The photo's damage affects Devin in real life, causing him to drop the camera. Devin becomes enraged and tries to attack the group, but Sheriff Pembroke arrives just in time to arrest him. Bird and Connor attempt to explain the danger posed by the cursed camera and show him evidence about Roland Sable. However, the sheriff, unimpressed, warns them to stop investigating the matter. Before leaving, Bird talks to Devin, who apologizes for his earlier actions. He suggests that his death might buy them time to stop the entity. On their way home, Bird gets a call from Casey, who reveals that Faraday wasn't the real buyer of Roland's house. It was Lena Sable, Roland's wife, using a fake name. Despite the sheriff's warning, Bird and Connor decide to visit Lena to uncover the truth. At the police station, the lights go out, and the ghostly entity attacks Devin in his cell, killing him. Meanwhile, Bird and Connor arrive at Lena's home. At first, she refuses to talk, but when they mention the camera, she reluctantly lets them in. Lena reveals that the camera belonged to her daughter, Rebecca James Sable, RJS. Rebecca, a quiet and artistic girl, often used the camera as a way to escape relentless bullying at school. One day, her 4 so-called friends tricked her into joining them. They took inappropriate photos of her with the camera and spread them around the school to humiliate her. Overwhelmed by shame, Rebecca tragically ended her life. Heartbroken and enraged, Roland found the photos and vowed revenge. He lured the bullies into a darkroom at the school, took their pictures, and began killing them one by one. The police intervened and shot Roland, who died clutching the camera. Lena then shows Bird and Connor a photo of the one student who managed to escape. As Lena finishes her story, the room's lights start flickering. Connor checks the photos and sees that the shadow has returned to the group photo, signaling imminent danger. Alarmed, they leave immediately and head to the school, calling Casey to join them. At the school, they search the archives for old yearbooks and identify the survivor Lena mentioned. To their shock, it's Sheriff Pembroke. As they process this, the sheriff arrives with Casey and accuses them of trespassing. He handcuffs them but listens as they plead about the entity's danger. In desperation, Connor snaps a photo of Pembroke, transferring the curse to him. Pembroke angrily throws the camera and then reveals a different version of Lena's story. He claims that Roland, not the students, took the inappropriate photos of Rebecca. According to him, Roland physically abused Rebecca, and the photos were part of their attempt to report him to the authorities. Roland discovered their plan, leading him to abduct and kill the students. Before they can respond, the entity appears behind Pembroke. The sheriff fires at it, but the bullets have no effect. The entity tears Pembroke's photo in half, killing him instantly by splitting him in two. It then attacks Casey, injuring her leg. Connor grabs Pembroke's gun and fires at the entity to distract it, giving the girls a chance to escape. Bird and Casey take refuge in a bathroom, where they turn on the hot water to create a protective barrier. After some time, Bird ventures out to find Connor. He pulls her into a room, and together they come up with a desperate plan, retrieve the camera and lure the entity to a place where it can fully develop its form, hoping to stop it for good. After retrieving the camera, the entity suddenly drags Connor away. Desperate to save him, Bird snaps a selfie with the camera, shifting the entity's focus to her. She then lures it into the darkroom in the school's basement. The entity catches up to her and starts choking her. Thinking quickly, Bird takes a photo of the entity, but her fingers accidentally get caught in the shot. She crumples the photo, causing the creature to weaken and her hand to begin disintegrating. When this isn't enough to stop it, she sets the photo on fire, finally destroying the entity for good. Afterward, Bird reunites with Connor and Casey. The three share a hug, relieved that the nightmare is over. In the final scene, Bird tosses the cursed camera into the ocean, determined to end its cycle of terror once and for all.